Nativity scenes take center stage at more than half of the nation's state capitals, just in time for Christians to celebrate the birth of Jesus. Christmas crèches are on display across the country, including these from Ohio, North Dakota, and Minnesota. The Thomas More Society teams up with another group called the American Nativity Scene. This year, 6 states added nativity scenes to their capital grounds. That marks the largest number added since they launched the campaign in 2012. Joining me now to talk about this is Thomas Olp, Vice President and Senior Counsel for the Thomas More Society. Thomas, you've described this as a landmark year. What do you think is behind this growth in nativity scene displays across the country?
Well, I think that we've been at this for about 10 years, and we've seen growth every year. So I think it's, and we try to publicize what we're doing, so we're seeing a good reaction to it. The idea of public citizens making Christmas meaningful by having a nativity display, I think is sparking in the minds of a lot of the of religious people here in this country.
And you're in various states across the country. What's been the reaction in many of those states?
Well, most people react very positively, and we don't really have legal issues to deal with usually. Mostly people are happy to see that the holiday season has a reminder as to what it really is, which is the Christmas season, a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ.
So you're putting a lot of effort into getting these into state capitals around the country and on property either outside or inside of state capitals. So why is that so important for you then to keep these privately funded nativity scenes in the public square?
Well, the basic principle that underlies our work here is that religious speech, we think, is important to be prominent in the public square. We don't want a public square that's stripped of religion and religious expression. We're a religious people, and it's important for people to appreciate that religious speech is a net contribution to our civic life. And so putting a nativity scene in a rotunda, a capitol building, a public building, serves to remind people that religion is part of our civic life and should be.
But what would you say to those who disagree with these displays and say it's a violation of the Constitution?
We explain to people, there are people who believe that, and we try to help them understand that it is not a violation of the Constitution. The public square in this country is available to all kinds of speech, and political speech and all kinds of expression, and religious expression is one form of speech. So the basic principle is non-discrimination between and among forms of speech. Once people hear that message, then they say, yeah, that makes sense to us. And we rarely have legal problems with running interference with the American nativity scene who we work with. Mostly it's an educational challenge to us.
So besides the educational process or the educational getting this message out there, though, you do have some legal battles ahead. There's some atheist groups that do not like to see these displays on public property. So you do have to fight some of these people in court. Am I right on that?
Well, when atheists see Christian displays, they say, hey, what about us? And so they can take two different tacks. They can say, oh, well, we want the religious speech out of the public square, or they can add their own speech. And the proper response that they should take is to add their own speech. Free speech is part of a very basic and important part of our democracy here in the United States. So even people who are against religion appreciate the principle at stake here.
Okay, Thomas Olp, Vice President and Senior Counsel for the Thomas More Society. Thank you so much and Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having me.